trying to do today, it's initial home care providers who are trying to license for their non-medical home care services in Tennessee. Cover a lot about, especially towards the state-specific regulations for Tennessee, so that you get to understand everything that how you can license your agency on your own. That's the whole idea. This is the application that you should fill out. But this is what I'm trying to take you through. It's the initial application for those who are trying to start newly. Hey guys, I think let's start now, and good morning to everyone. So, all right, could you please let me know when am I audible? Can you all see my screen? And if you all can hear me, can someone please confirm? All right, okay. You all can hear me, right? All right, okay. So, righty. So let's get started with the webinar for today. So what we are trying to do today, it's initial home care providers who are trying to license for their non-medical home care services in Tennessee. Or else, in other words, we also refer it as the DIDD, the Developmental, the Division of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. And under that, the license, the terminology for the license is a Personal Support Service Agency, or else you can also refer it as the Non-Medical Home Care Agency, right? So, all right, so this is the whole idea today, and we are planning to have this around 1 to 1.5 hours, the complete session. We are trying to make sure that we will be trying to take you through from A to Z, all the steps, step-by-step guidance on how to create the documentations, how to identify the rules and regulations, and how to get through everything until you're fully licensed. So that's the whole idea. So let's hope, I hope that I should be able to make it much more easy for you to understand, and so that you can do it yourself and try to get your license from doing it on your own as well. So that's the whole idea. And all right, so let's go get started. So as I mentioned, today I'm planning to cover a lot about, especially towards the state-specific regulations for Tennessee. As you might know, every state has its own state-specific rules and regulations, and we should stick to all the state-specific regulatory requirements. In addition to that, it's not just the state-specific regulations, but also the program. So the agency type or the facility type or the provider type, that are also based on the provider type, agency type, or the program that you're planning to do, the regulations or the need for the regulatory requirements, the guidelines, the steps, everything changes. So that's the whole reason why we have to take you through different programs and webinars, trainings for every state separately, and within the state, different programs we are going to take you through step by step. So today we are trying to go through a little bit about our company, just for you to understand what we do at carepolicy.us and how we help our clients to get through the licensing and what other services that we offer, and more importantly, step-by-step application process for you for Tennessee for your home care agency, and also how it works in terms of the fee structure, the timelines for you to get the license, the state timeline. Especially, I think this is one of the most asked question from me, from most of the providers: how long would the state takes to review and approve my applications, or like what's the total timeline for me to get approved? So that, I know these are very very much burning questions. Every provider who are trying to do their first startup or initial business, they're very much concerned on how to get through the process and how to get the approvals, and how much time and how much cost it would you would be having to incur in terms of going through this entire process, right? And during this session, I'm also planning to tell you on how to write policy procedures and how to avoid common mistakes that could delay your approvals if you're trying to do this alone by yourself. But things that you should keep in mind so that you don't miss them out, and make sure you provide all the required documentations exactly as per the requirements from the state specific guidelines, right? Of course, I'll be going to take you through the regulatory oversight and the compliance monitoring as well, because for everything, you should have a better understanding about how the regulation works, and how you can review those regulations are more important, for you to understand what you should do next and what's my checklist and what are the regulatory requirements for you. Finally, I have a plan to take you through a real life example, step-by-step process. Basically, during that stage, I'm trying to take you through the approved past clients from carepolicy.us and homecareconsulting.us. So we are trying to showcase a real example of how we did the work for them and what documents we prepared and what are the documentations and how we filled out the application. So all of these step-by-step approach we are going to take you through during today's session. And of course, you should understand the output or the outcome of your entire application and the licensing process. That's a certificate, the permit, or else we can say the approved license to use, so that you can start operating your home care business within the state of Tennessee. So we'll be showing what you will be getting end of the day after your license. And yeah, and we take few more minutes just to showcase what and how we can support you if you need some help and assistance, if you need policy procedures, if you need any consultation for licensing. So we'll be taking you through that guidelines as well. So moving forward, all right, so just to give you a little bit about care policy. So what we are trying to help you today to get you through this webinar on how to license for your DIDD, or else Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disability Personal Support Service Agents in Tennessee. But some of you might be thinking why you don't refer the term home care agency or as non-medical home care agency. All right, so every state has its own way to refer things. For example, in Texas, non-medical home care agency is referred as the PAS, or the Personal Assistance Services. And when you talk about the California, they do have the home care organization, and it's similar in Virginia as well. It's a home care organization. Uh, and when we talk about Indiana, they have the PSA, Personal Service Agency. And when we talk about Florida, they have two licenses. One, it's called the Homemake and Companion. That's pretty much for hands-off non-medical services. And the other one is the Home Health Agency, non-skilled. But Home Health Agency, when we talk about home health, we get the idea about skilled or medical services, right? But in Florida, they use home health agents inside the bracket non-skilled, just to segregate non-medical home care agents. So different states have different ways to refer to what you're going to provide. So first thing that you need to understand, what services am I going to provide? What services I should be providing and what I can provide. So if you're thinking about non-medical home care services, then you should have better understanding about what services that you can provide under non-medical services. So I'll take you through all these on how to define home care and home health services and what services that includes on this license that you are allowed to provide within the state, right? So before I take you through that process, I would like to take you through the objectives of this webinar. As I mentioned to you, I'll be taking you through the laws, the regulations, so that you get to understand everything that how you can license your agency on your own. That's the whole idea. And the other thing, we are going to take you the full licensing process, and especially the DIDD Personal Support Service Agency. And this is the non-medical home care agency licensing process within Tennessee. Okay. And there are a lot of common mistakes, and there's a lot of mistakes or the paperwork with the errors. Most of our providers, we get a lot of problems. They try to do things their own, but they miss out. Even a tiny error, a little spelling error can cause your entire application delayed for years and years. So that we have seen a lot of experiences, providers coming our way. They have got stuck in between the licensing departments, the office of licensing, because of some minor errors, or sometimes no consistency within the documents, the address issues, the business name issues. We cannot afford to have any simple error when you're trying to go through this licensing journey. There is no excuse for you, for me, for anyone when you try to work with the state for licensing. Only thing that we have to focus, it's the framework, the regulatory framework. There's nothing more to that. We can't do any creative things, no any beautiful or nice things. We don't do stuff like that. Just have to stick to the framework, the checklist, the guidance that is provided by the state. So that's all we have to keep in mind. Everything exactly as they expect, we have to provide. Whenever they say mandatory documents, we have no excuse. We have to provide as a part of the package. Okay, so going forward, I'll be using this term called package. This means the application is not just one document, guys, right? You need to understand when we talk about the application, it consists of several multiple documentation. It's a combination of legal documents and written supporting documents and the application. So the legal documents can be your LLC, that is your business registration with the Secretary of State. And the other thing is the EIN document, that's the employee identification number from IRS. And there can be other documents like NPI, National Provider Identifier, and insurance, let's say general liability insurance, your background check confirmation. So those falls into the legal business documents. Okay, and in addition to that, there are several other support documentations. I'll take you through everything today, but just to give you a high level understanding, those includes your policy procedures, your the job descriptions, service descriptions, or else and what else, the budgets, business plans. So all of these documents, support documents and the legal documents combines, and then on top of that we have the application and the confirmation for the application fee. Can be either check, money order, or a credit card payment online, so it depends from the state to state and the program to program. So this everything is called the package. So this is what we are going to work towards on completing the package 100% perfect, no mistakes, no errors, and that's when you can submit this to state. So that is what gives you the highest possibility on getting approved in just few months or fast as possible, right? So that's the whole idea. I'll try to break things down when we move forward. All right. Now it's the time to understand what can you provide, what services, what service specialities that you can provide within this non-medical home care service, or else we call in Tennessee DIDD, Personal Support Service Agency. So as you can read this, you will be able to provide more of the assistant with assisted daily living activities, personal care, the mobility, meal preparation, community participation, talking to seniors, or helping them on, to move from one place to another and work as a companion, just talk to them. So those services pretty much falls on the non-medical home care services. And also, there's another part for it, like meal preparations, homemake and companionship. So all this falls on non-medical support services. So I would also put this in this way: hands-on services and hands-off services. For those who have worked in this industry, let's say RNs, or else the CNAs or caregivers, they know what's hands-on and hands-off. Hands-on means you get to touch the patient or the resident or your client and provide the support services by holding their hand, mobility, personal care, everything comes under the hands-on services. That's part of non-medical home care agency, the services that you can provide. And the other thing is the hands-off. You don't get to touch the client or the residents or your patient, but you do provide the support, for example, companion, or else bed making, homemaker. So those services you don't get to touch them, but provide under non-medical home care service license. So this combination of all these non-medical services, wherever it's no involvement with any medical or wound care or injections or nursing related services, that's referred under non-medical home care services, right? So that's something you should have in mind, and that is what going to let you provide within Tennessee under this license called Personal Support Service Agency. But you can provide any medical or skilled related services. So please keep that in mind. Under a non-medical home care license, you can provide, even though you are RN, you can provide, right? Because you get the license only for these list of services, and this is common in every state. You don't get to provide skilled services if you only have a non-medical home care license, but you get to provide both skilled and non-skilled or non-medical or medical if you have a home health agency license. Home health means it's more about skilled or medical related license, but to go through the licensing process, you should be either RN or you should have RN in-house. There's a little bit of additional formalities for medical or skill related services. But here we are focused towards today for non-medical home care services. And this is what you can provide within your agency and within the state. Right. So moving forward. Okay, so this is one thing, one important thing that I wanted to explain today. When we talk about the why do you want to go for a home care agency? Why should I put my money on something called senior care? Is there any enough demand? Is the market saturated within the area that you're going to provide the services? And will I get customers who are paying? And how do I get the customer payments? Is it from Medicaid or any insurance payers, or so those are the questions that anyone right at the beginning as a startup would have. How I can get into this, and should I go into the senior care? Should I open a non-medical home care agency? That's the first question that I would think if I'm to put my hard-earned money onto a new business startup, trying to get into this senior care. So just to let you know, in Tennessee, the total population it's around 7 million, right? But out of that, the population is over 65 years old, it's around 1.2 million. So which is almost around 17 to 18% of aging populations from the total populations within the state, which means you have a higher demand and a shortage of the existing caregivers. So based on what the facts and the numbers that we work with our clients and the research metrics that we work for our clients and our own the analytics, we get to understand that there's a huge demand and there's a less supply, which means they need licensed home care providers so that they can start providing the caregiving for the for for the community, right? So even if you're from out of the industry, let's say we get to talk to, especially myself, I get to talk to a lot of people from this industry. Some RNs I used to speak with their industry expert, like nearly 20, 30 years of RN experience working as a registered nurse, or some people was working as the LPNs or CNA for more than decades of experience, a lot of experience they possess. And at a point they think, all right, I know everything, how to do this business, how to provide the services, and I have worked enough for someone else company or someone else. Now it's time. I know everything how to do. Why not I open my own home care agency under my ownership? Right? So that's a point where most of the industry related people get to start on the senior care. And the other thing, the most surprising fact that is, we get to have a lot of customers from the industries like real estate, IT industry. They have no clue even what is senior care, but everyone is trying to invest in this senior care because the business, it is lucrative. That's the first thing. And in addition to that, you get to, of course, you get to provide the community support. So a lot of customers, they want to go ahead with the community support, provide the support for senior care. so they get into this business. And the market, there's a huge demand because of the aging population. There's a huge demand, so that if you can license today, before any new regulatory barriers comes into effect, then you are securing an asset which nobody else would have. That's the most important thing. And the barrier to entry is the license. And if you can get through the licensing process, that's what you need. That's all what you need. And this is going to be $1 million business for those who are starting, who are trying to provide the services and out of the industry people. But of course, the priority should be the community support. We can provide the services, we can help another, and I have a passion for providing the caregiving. So those are very much encouraged on this senior care business. And you can, of course, think about this venture to get into this and start investing and get your business up and running. And this is going to be a great thing that you do for the community and to yourself. All right. So right. So this is the idea behind why you would want to go ahead with a business like this, and why you would want to invest on a home care agency. All right. So now there are a few things that I need to emphasize or let you understand during this session today. I was always trying to specify some terminology, the regulations. As I mentioned to you, every 50 state has its 50 different state-specific regulatory requirements, different legislations, different administrative codes. That's going to be state-specific. And again, the program-wise, if you're going to go ahead with the non-medical home care agency, the regulation code or the chapter code or the section, it's going to be completely different compared to a group home or compared to a skilled home health agency, or as a minor change in the service specialty can give you a complete different regulatory code and a checklist. So that's how the regulation works. You can't apply anything as a generic. They don't accept anything generic. Or you have a group home and now you would want to expand into home care, you can use any of those documents for home care because it's completely different program, completely set of rules and regulations, and you have to stick to that, not to what you have in terms of your group home. Okay, so that's something that you need to understand. And let me try to show you how the regulations looks like of what we talked today. This is the administrative codes and the section that I'm trying to explain today. And one important thing that you need to understand, in Tennessee, the license office for personal support service agents, it's run by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services Office of Licensure. They are the ones who governs the non-medical home care agency or the personal support agencies. And this is the code, how you need to understand. When we talk about a code or regulation, they have a chapter, they have a section, and these numbers represents your agency required information, or the checklist, or what requirements, the eligibility, rules and regulations, what policies you should write, everything pretty much covered within the regulation or the chapter code, right? So this is for personal support care, the chapter, and this determines everything that you need to cover. For example, the definition, the application of rules, the scope for personal support service agency, the applications, how you're going to submit the application, the governance requirements, the policy procedures, personal requirements mean as an individual. You should have some basic background to what you're trying to do. You should definitely be background cleared, background checks, and you should have the basic requirements. And every program to program, that's going to be changing of what you will be required, right? So, and the other thing, if there's any standard training or continuing education needed, those requirements, everything will be highlighted in something called chapter or the regulatory requirements. I will not go through everything in detail, but I'm trying to show you these code numbers. You can find them on Google or refer to the legislations and try to read this through and then you will get to understand everything very descriptive, everything in detail, right? So these are the rules and regulations that you can't skip any of these. You must meet all these requirements, and that's the whole idea behind this licensing. Okay. All right. So going back to the page or the slide, so we need to set up your business structure through the Tennessee, the Secretary of State, and this is the business registration. So I'll also try to explain you multiple the business registrations that you can license or that you can register within the Secretary of State. This is the SOS, which means that you are getting the business license or else the articles of organization or the articles of incorporation. For you to run a business within the state, you need a business registrations within the Secretary of State of Tennessee or any other state where we are going to do the business. That is the first thing that you should have, and this is where you're going to register your legal business name. And sometimes you might have seen the LLC, INC, S Corp, C Corp, or else there is something called non-profit 301 the non-profit organization, the chapter codes of the regulations. So I think CO1, the 501 C13, if I remember right, for non-profit organization. So there's different types of organizations that you can form, and this is going to be your legal structure. And this legal structure, it is what going to get you through the entire licensing process, right? So this legal structure, it's going to be giving you a legal business name, and that's the name that is going to be continuing for your entire rest of the documentations until you're fully licensed. Okay. And of course, you need to understand about the policy procedures, the application paperwork, and the state requirements. All these documentations comes in uh, as part of the requirements. So you should consider all these requirements when you're trying to get through the licensing. So these are three important things, but there's a lot of information that we need to discuss and get you the idea about. So these are the key mandatory and most important information that you should consider. All right, so now let's try to move to the step-by-step licensing process. All right. Okay, so we have a Q&A session right at the end. I hope that you all can wait until the Q&A and you can shoot any questions that you have in terms of the process and the regulations we discussed. So until then, I will try to cover the information, but you can take a note about all the questions that you have, and then I'll try to clarify all the questions that you have during the Q&A session. But if you think you have any questions, which is very important to ask at this stage, you can shoot me now, or else we can move forward, and right at the end, we have a Q&A session to cover things up. Right. Okay, so let's go ahead. So, all right, so as I mentioned, the first stage on the application consideration, that is this code, what I explained to you. This 94538, this is the exact minimum program requirements for a personal support agency, and this is what you should put inside your brain, inside your head. This is what going to take you through entire compliance and the requirements, right? So I'll try to go ahead with the documentations. I think this is something very important. If you're trying to license, you need to know what's the application. You need to know what are the fact sheet, the background check, the financial statements. All these documentations and the requirements are part of the licensing journey. So these applications, I think I have opened it on my, yeah, here we go. So all right, can someone let me know whether you can see my screen and the application, what I'm trying to show? You see the application, right? Do you? All right, okay, so this is the application that you should fill out. And as I mentioned, this is pretty much under the Department of Mental Health and the Substance Abuse Services. This application you should fill out with the date of application, and you will be applying for an initial license provider. That means you are a startup business. This is going to be your first business and your initial application. So that is what it refers under the initial. If you are someone who is having already application, and if you want to renew or if you want to change of information, then this application will not be directly applicable. But this is what I'm trying to take you through. It's the initial application for those who are trying to start newly and try to get into this home care business newly. This is what's important for you. These are very pretty basic information. As you can see, the date of application, it can be your current day, the applicant name, or the business name. So you should have all these informations entered here. The name, the title of the administrator or the owners. You can enter the phone number, fax number, the email address. Make sure you give a working email, because this is the email the state would initiate any communications, or the coordinations would happen within this email address that you provide. So this is very, very important. Make sure it's a working email. Otherwise, they will not be contacting you in any other forms, only via emails they used to contact. So it's mandatory to have a proper and working email. So, and there are a lot of variations based on your exact requirement, and you can assign these names, and based on the number of people that trying to work with you, or let's say if there are multiple owners, then you should have the business structure with the multiple owners. Let's say there are partnership, you and your friend is trying to do this business, then you can assign one person as the administrator for the licensing application purpose, and the other person under the controlling interest, just to show the ownership. But one more important thing, when you have multiple owners, please take a note. You should definitely list all the owners in your business registration with the Secretary of State. Okay, in easy words, it is the LLC, the limited liability company, where you're trying to get your articles of organization or articles of incorporation. You should have your all the owners listed, and every owner should reflect in the application as well, wherever it's mandatory to enter all the people who will be part of this entire business. And also there will be the requirements for you to highlight the what you call the controlling interest, or the percentage of ownership in the LLC document, and that should be consistent throughout the rest of the documentations, the applications, and everything for you. Okay. So likewise, you have to make sure you enter your contact information, responsible for invoices and compliance documents. And all right, so here we go. So this is the organizational structure, or else we can refer this as the legal structure. This is where you need to take, I would recommend, if you are an individual who's trying to go into this business as a startup business, so I would recommend for you to go with a single member LLC, register articles of organization as a single member LLC. So that's this is the take for a limited liability corporation. But let's say if you are going to go for a non-profit, it's different applications. As I mentioned, it's 501c3. So that is the process for the non-profit corporation. Then if you're going to go ahead with the non-profit, then you can tick for this and proceed. If not, if you're going to go as a incorporations, then based on your requirement, you can go with incorporation or partnership or anything. It's possible, but it's my recommendations. If you are one person or two person or maybe three people, then the LLC is the fastest way, because that's you can register a business within the Secretary of State in around 3 to 4 business days. That won't take too long for you. Let's say within 1 week you can register your LLC, and that's recommended if it's a small business, you're trying to do your initial startup business. In corporations, it's not recommended, or like large corporations, C Corp, S Corp, it's like a big business. If you have plans later on listing on the stock exchange, then you can of course think about the corporation registrations. But if you are a single member or a small number of partners, then go with LLC, but make sure everyone is listed on the LLC in this with the Secretary of State under your articles of organization. Right. So as I mentioned, here is the corporation association information. This is where you should mention all the owners and list down the people. Likewise, the background check history. You should be very honest when you try to fill out this background check history, because you have to go through the background check. Uh, and confirmation has to be uploaded or mailed to the state under the package. So you have to be very clear. Even if you have any problem with your background in past years, you should mention it and clarify what happens and what has, what was the result of such incident, and what the state would think or consider. Let's say you had a past even 20 years ago, but you're worried whether it will impact on me today if I try to apply for my home care agency. But there's a very rare chance that it will be consideration unless it has been a continuing situation of that particular incident. So they're trying to see how frequent it happened and whether you have done the same thing. So if such incident, then they will of course the background check will have some impact on you. But if you don't have anything, then that's perfect. But again, if you have something, then best to do a background check clearance and get it verified. And past issues won't be an issue for you as long as it's not continuing the incident. Right. So of course you have to enter your personal information, your SSN, the date of birth, and all these informations, your address. Okay, one important thing you should know. Now, a question that I get from a lot of providers: can I use my home office? Right, because I don't have funds at this stage to rent and have a dedicated office, because that's something over my budget at this stage, because I'm just starting my business, right? So you don't have much money, so you're going to I'm going to tell you the best way how you can optimize your funds and use the budget to what is exactly needed. So I'll tell you a trick. You don't want to rent a place at the point of application. You don't need. You can use your home office in Tennessee and use that address for all this documentation purpose, but make sure it's 100% consistent throughout all the documentation. You can be having one address in application, one address in insurance, another address in your LLC, another address in EIN, or another address in NPI. You can't do that. It has to be consistent throughout. But the good news, you can use a home office and you don't need to rent out a place at this stage. Because why I'm telling you this, when you apply for a license application, imagine you rent out a place and you keep paying the rental now, next month, third month. So until you're approved, you just have to keep paying and you don't make any money. That's a disaster, right? It's a nightmare. So you don't do that until you're fully approved. You can use a home office, and still in Tennessee, the good news is that they would come for the inspection surveys late after you're approved, so you don't have to worry much about the office space. But one thing to keep in mind as you're going to do this business for continuing period of time for foreseeable future, you should have your home office, but try to make it look like a proper office. And there are some regulatory requirements. You can check those requirements, but just to give you some heads up, you should have the dedicated documents, the policy procedures printed, the client onboarding documents printed, employee staffing documents printed, and keep it everything ready on this on your office. And one more thing, if you're using a shared office, you should have your dedicated resources or staffing or the documents just for your agency under your agency. That's how they're going to verify uh, the locations that you're providing these home care services. Okay, That's something for you to keep in mind. So there's a requirement for 3 referees as well. So this means you can contact for some of your people in this industry is what I would recommend, who've been in the business of providing caregiving, or some people who have reputations on this senior care or healthcare industry. Those references should be updated here. And to support these, we have to prepare 3 reference letters and 3 reference documentations. I will show you in the next slides on what and how you need to get these done. All right. So likewise, there's a lot of things, but I'm not going to take you through everything today, but I'm trying to give you the idea on how everything is to be filled out. So likewise, there's something called fact sheet. This is very, very important. Let me see. This is the point where you will be opting for non-medical home care agency. This is the fact sheet, guys. And this is a separate document. It's not the same application what I showed you previously. This is a separate document. You have to take for initial application, and you're going to be your first business, and this is the first time you're applying with the Tennessee Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services for a non-medical home care agency. And one more important thing, this tick, you can miss this tick. This is what you need to mark when you submit the fact sheet. This is all what you have to opt for. Personal support service agency, non-medical home health. You just have to tick this. That's it. And the rest of the thing is as normal information as the administrator you can fill out, but you should make sure to tick for this as you're going for a non-medical home care agency. But if you have any other services that you would like to provide, and this is going to be the same document, you just have to tick for that. But if you're going to go ahead with a non-medical home care agency, you just have to stick to this, right? So, and some other information about you, your office, or everything, it needs to be updated as well. Some informations are applicable for you, and some informations are not applicable, because this fact sheet is for everything. So you just have to select and run through only that is needed for your non-medical home care agency or the personal support service agency. Okay. All right, so this is very important. This tick, it's what matters everything. All right, so this is the background check and the privacy statement. So as I mentioned to you, you definitely have to go through background check. No matter what background or experience you have, you must go through background check, and the background check should be positive, and that is a confirmation document we have to submit along with your application document. So this is a mandatory document for your application. And one more important thing is there's a financial statement. So this is something the Office of Licensure, they do provide this financial statement. Guys, you can hear me, right? So, is it breaking up? I got some notification for some connection error. Everything is good, right?
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, so this is the Office of Licensure, the income statement. Now your question, I understand. Now your question is, how much funds should I show and how I get these numbers? Because I don't have anything, because I'm just starting. I don't know I don't have motor vehicles, or I don't have any fixed equipments. I don't know about anything about account receivable and payables. You don't have any clue what numbers to fill in. So I'll try to tell you this. The state, they're trying to see whether you have some kind of a plan and whether you have enough funds to run your home care agency for more than 3 to 6 months time. So that's what they are going to see through these numbers that you will be entering, right? So you just have to make it very clear on what expenses you have, what incomes you have, and it should be sufficient enough to run your 3 to 6 month operating cost. Okay, so that's how they are going to validate your financial feasibility, whether you have enough funds to run this business. right? So that's something you should keep in mind when you fill out these numbers. If you need any support, of course, we can help you out to match with the bank statement balance you have, and to change the numbers in order to get you a proper look at what the state would be expecting. But again, it has to meet with your existing funds as well, just to keep in mind. We can't use any fake numbers to fill this document, but we have to give them a reasonable idea about what's your financial income and the expenditure background. So that's the whole idea. They even give this template, unlike any other states. You just have to fill this up, but you have to be very careful with the funds that you have, and how you're going to showcase the numbers, the incomes and the expenses during this application. Yeah. All right. Okay, so yeah, so these are one of the few of the mandatory information. Okay, and here are the other things that I need to show you. This is the mandatory requirements in the state requirements. This is it can be partnership agreement, articles of incorporation, or the organization. This is what I explained to you in terms of your LLC incorporation. So that is the confirmed document from the Secretary of State. We have to submit along with the package. And the criminal background check report, as I explained to you previously, that confirmation has to be submitted. And third step, it would be the policies and procedures we have to submit to meet the exact state requirements, and the list of members in the governing body, and the community reference letters. As I mentioned, 3 reference letters from reputed people in the industry is highly recommended. But even if you don't have any reputed one, you can have someone with the past experience who have worked in this industry. Then you can get them to sign a letter for you, referring you are a good citizens, you know what you're trying to do. That's the 3 letters that the state would expect for you to submit. And the annual operating budget. So okay, I'll take you through the next steps of the documents to show the budgets and everything, to cover up this information. Okay, and the other thing, how to create these documents effectively. All these supporting documents that I mentioned to you, you just have to stick to the regulations, the chapter codes, the guidelines, and the process. Exactly what they need you to be done, you should do. Nothing new. There's nothing that you can do anything additional. You can miss out anything. Just do what they want. Prepare the documents exactly how they want you to do, and ready all the documentation that's going to meet the state requirements. And everything has to be up to date, because if you go through trying to identify the regulations, there can be past regulations. We have to be very careful not to refer any of the past regulations. What happens if you try to go through past regulations or regulatory codes, and you're missing out a lot of things, and the application package is going to be rejected? So you have to be careful to get through the latest regulatory requirements for you to run through all the documentation and then work towards that. But if I remember right, for Tennessee, there's no change except for some policy procedures. The rest of the things are the same, but still you have to look for the latest regulations by the time that you start your home care agency, right? Okay, this is something I need to tell you. All right, guys. So this is the processing fees. Now the question: most of the state, they usually tell you how much the application fee, whether it's 500, whether it's 1,500, whether it's 5,000. That here, the Tennessee for non-medical home care agency, they typically charge around 1,404 and 351. They have some variations, but again, they tell you the application amount or the fee based on the applications that you submit and the services that you opt. But just to give you an idea, it is going to be around 1,500 application fee, and it's non-refundable. Even though you're rejected, they don't refund you the application fee. So that's the main purpose. When you submit the application, think you never have a second chance. There is no second chance. You just have to stick to the first time approved level. That's the whole idea. Even I'm trying to give you all the knowledge that I've acquired during these 7 to 10 years of my past experience, trying to consult this industry. So I'm trying to take you through everything, honestly, to make things clear for you, because you can afford to be rejected. And once you're denied, that's going to be way complex for you. Things are going to be very complicated, and it's going to be a disaster if you don't follow the proper strategies, the proper steps, and the regulations. So yeah, that's how the processing fees. And the other thing is the expected approval time frame. Okay, this is a very tricky question, even though I'm trying to tell you some expected timelines. This is average. I can tell you this is only an average. Nobody can predict how much exactly the state would take time to review and approve applications. Nobody can do. Even the state officers, they work towards based on the number of applications they get, the volume of applications they have to go through, the timeline depends. And the other question is that the person who sits behind your application in the office of licensing plays a huge role, whether to keep throwing you the deficiencies or revisions, or whether to approve at the first time. So you have to do a little bit of prayers as well. Trust me, that is how it's going to work out. So when we talk about the timelines, what I can tell you average with our past experience, because we have helped so many providers to get licensed with Tennessee Non-Medical Home Care Agency, we see it's around 2 to 4 months, so 60 to 120 days is the average timeline that we can get you licensed, guaranteed, as long as your backgrounds are clean, as long as you provide all the complete and accurate informations, everything should be good to go. Right, so let's move forward. These are the common mistakes. As I always say, double check the forms filled out, complete and correct. Ownership, legal documents, match business registrations, insurance, everything should be consistent. No excuse, it has to be consistent. Thirdly, one more thing, once you submit the application, there are incidents. This is a very common scenario. The state always could come with revisions. Even though we try to make things perfect, even though we try to do things 100% exactly what the state wants, and it has been previously approved as well for past clients, but still there can be chances the person who reviews the application, they still can come back and ask you to do some changes, to add things. It depends. We can't avoid that. In such incidents, they always comes with deadlines. You have to submit these changes or additions in 10 business days. Otherwise, your applications will be denied or rejected. That's how they pressure you. So you should be very much ready, monitoring your emails, spam folders after you submit. Those are the things that you should be doing. If you don't hear back from the state, and if you think it's taking too much time, make sure to double check your emails, the spam folder, the promotional folders. Make sure you don't miss any emails from the state. They might have replied to you, but you missed it, and you have no excuses. So you have to be careful after you submit the application, just to make sure you respond to any additional request or any questions that the state might have. You should respond to them immediately within the timelines that they tell you to do so. Okay. So, okay. So I'll also try. Yeah, this is what I mentioned to you, post application follow up. You have to make sure everything is correctly submitted, and includes the electronic desk audit. You will need to be submit your policy procedure. So in Tennessee, they have something very special. They're going to do a bit of an electronic desk audit. Unlike the on-site visit, some states, they directly come to your physical site and they do the inspection service. But here they are trying to take you through electronic desk audit to review everything. Especially, you need to show your policy procedures, and as I mentioned, your onboarding documents, client handbooks, employee handbook, policy procedures, everything that is needed to run the business and the operation you should have in your office when they do the inspection surveys or the audits. All right. So you should keep that in mind. And yeah, as I always mention, the regulation, compliance, no excuses. You have to make sure everyone is fully aware about the regulation, even your staffing, and everybody within the business should be, know about the policy procedures and everything when the inspection surveys take place. Everybody should be aware about what's going on. You can just play a superhero one person only. You have to let your every person in the business know this is what is happening, and in case if someone asks you a question, then how to respond to that. Everybody should have a understanding about what's going on and what documents we have and why it's there. That kind of a understanding everybody should have before you can run everything. So yeah, it's all about up to date, valid insurance, the records, the ownership, location services, compliance. That's what keeps you alive on this licensing journey. Righty. So I'm trying to take you through a real life example. This is a case study that we have helped provider to get this license. So a recent example we have pulled out on these documents, and we are trying to take you through this the step by step. The first thing that we do, let's say you find it difficult to do it on your own, and you need some assistance and you need some hand on trying to get this done, on trying to you know uh, write the documents. You're not a good policy writer, or you don't know how to fill out the application, and you can't concentrate on filling out the application by giving full attention to detail. Then you can consider these steps, what we try to do in terms of the steps. First thing we do is the research, the latest regulations and the regulatory requirement. We pull them out and we put them on a detailed checklist. And just to show you, the first thing that we do is the detailed checklist, and this is something that you get to understand. And this is what you need, everything for you to get the license. And this is what I would tell as a complete, what do you call, the complete package, and all of the documentations that is needed for you to get the license. And there are nearly 19 documentation as of today that you need to complete and submit to the state. Certain things that you have to work towards your end, like the EIN, business registrations, your driver's license, the resume, and most of the things we help you with the applications. But if you need any other support from these documents for our support, like any budget, the financial statements, and the policy procedures, the proposed budget, everything, we help you out. This is the first thing that we get you in order to get you through the licensing journey. And one more thing, then we have to make sure every checklist items are checked before you can submit the applications. And I think I can show you some sample documentations and how things looks. All right, so this is a sample policy procedure manual that you can submit to Tennessee, and this has to be written exactly as per the state requirements and the required compliances. You can see the chapter code 943.538. This is the regulation 945.38. So we have to reference every code and every item line by line, everything in your policies and procedures. So we have to make sure everything we cover, and this is how exactly the state is going to verify whether you have correct policies and procedures. You can be using a generic template from somewhere else and use for this. You have to reference everywhere. You have to write these codes and make sure every required items should be written as per the regulation. And one more thing that most of our providers miss, they just focus on the regulation and they just copy paste. No, you can't do that. You have to write in a way it represents your agency, because you are a provider and you have an agency. Your policy procedures should be the policies of your agency to the rest of the stakeholders. So you can be directly using the regulatory codes and those information for you to prepare your policy procedures. So you have to write in a way it reflects the agency requirements, the agency customization, just specific to agency. and specific to regulation, specific to service specialties. So that's how you should be working towards the policies and procedures. So likewise, there are requirements for the budgets. As I mentioned, you have to prepare this 3 months budget, and these numbers should match with the totals of your incomes and the funds. So these budgets should reflect your financial income statement that I showed you previously as well. So that's very important to understand. You can be just providing a document that's not consistent. Your budgets, your checking account, business bank account balance, and your finance business plan and your income statement, everything should have the similar consistent numbers so that you don't get any rejections or denials. So yeah, so these documents, everything are mandatory requirements, and yeah, this is what we need to have, and these are some examples of the reference letters. So just to give you an idea. All right. Okay. So as I was explaining to you, we should definitely understand all these requirements. So going back to the slide where we are currently. So the checklist is what's most important. You can miss anything in the checklist. Every item that we have listed in this checklist, you should definitely complete in the package. Print them in the same order that we will be giving to you, or you have to arrange it on your own if you have to do it on your side. So it has to be printed, kept everything, all these copies in the application binder, and end of the day you have to attach once you submit the application, then they will let you know how much the application fee, but the rest of the documentations you should keep it on a binder and submit to the state. So the question next, how am I going to submit the application? I will explain you in the other slides, but before that I will also explain to you the creation of these documents. State specific, program specific, service specialty specific, and agency specific. You have your agency business name now. You're a legal business. Everything that you should create, it should reflect your business. You can be using someone else's business and use that document to submit for the licensure, you would be rejected. You can use someone else's policy procedures from different program, which is very generic, you will be rejected. You can use any other state's policy procedures, that is different state regulations and different administrative codes, you will be rejected. So you have to be very specific to the state of Tennessee, the regulatory codes, and this chapter code, chapter 94538, this is what represents your personal support service agency, nothing else. These regulations you should consider in every document, not only policy procedures, but your budget preparation and your personal, the eligibility document, the job description. So whatever the documents that you have to prepare, everything should reflect the regulation and your agency name and this provider type or the service type. Okay, so you should have that in mind. There is no chance we can deviate from that. So finally, when we try to do for our clients, we have our 3 comprehensive review process under our consultation services. Once the documentations are ready, the legal documents usually we let the client to handle or you to handle. So you will be having to get your LLC, EIN, insurance, background check, what else? NPI. So these documents you will be working towards your side, but we give you the full guidance, how to get these, where to get these, where you should call, or how you can apply for this. Everything, it's a step-by-step consultation. And once that is ready, then we work towards your policy procedures, the budgets, the financial statements, the business plans, the reference letter templates, everything we take you through. We complete that for you. You might finally have to do some signatures or some kind of a verification. But when the documentations from supporting documentations and the legal documentations are ready, then we complete the application and the fact sheet that I explained to you in the previous slides. So there's applications, you have to exactly fill out applications and the fact sheet, everything now how I instructed you. And once all of these documentations, application, fact sheet, budgets, policy procedures and your legal documents. Once everything is ready, the package is ready to submit. But there is 3 review processes we take you through, because we know we can't afford to miss any simple compliance, or even a spelling error is not acceptable from the eyes of the officers in the okay. So we have to make sure all the documentations are reviewed thoroughly. So we have 3 review processes to handle that. The first review happens from our the document specialist, who will go through all these documentations. And the second review happens from your side. Let's say you are the client and you're the owner of this business. You have to run through all the documents again. Make sure my SSN is correct, my date of birth is correct, the insurance document that I provided to us are correct, and no mistakes are possible. Once everything is finalized, in third review, it will be the consulting team. It will be myself or our senior consultants at carepolicy.us. Then we run through everything, make sure 100% compliance and no mistakes, no errors, and it's ready to submit. And this is the point where we give you, hey, Catherine, here is your entire package. It's ready to submit. And how you are going to do the submission, we give you the instruction. Based on your region, let's say you are in the East Tennessee or Middle Tennessee or the West Tennessee, there's a different address that you have to send the bind document to that particular regional office, and they will accept your application. And one more thing, most of the customers, they do have, some customers, they get a formal confirmations from email of they receive the application package, but some they don't. So you make sure to have your tracking number of how you mailed with you. So that is your confirmation of your submission to the state. So that is the document number that you can refer when there is a delay from the states, and in case if you would want to follow up with the state. Right? So that's how the application has to be submitted. And as I explained to you, you don't know the application fee exactly, unlike the other states or other programs. They always review the applications and tell you, hey, you have to pay this amount. But just to let you know, it's going to be around 1,500, the total application fee, if you're going to go ahead with only non-medical home care services for Tennessee. That has to be paid, and then they accept the application. That's the point where you can get a formal confirmation that you have everything submitted for them, and it's time for you to wait and watch until the state gets back to you. But the timeline, as I said, the expected or the average timeline is going to be around 2 to 4 months time. You should be hearing from them. If everything is perfect, you should get the license. All right. So that's how it works. And ongoing compliance, this is something we do special for our consultation clients. Even though we complete everything in the first 21 business days, all the documentations, we handle everything in the first 21 business days, including the follow-up with you to get the legal side of the documents from your sides. And once all the documentations and the package, the application, the legal documents, policy procedure, budgets, everything it's complete in the first 21 business days, then the package is ready from the 22nd day. So that's the timeline we take. And from the point of submitting the application, you can expect 2 to 4 months time average for you to get to hear back from the state. But it can be delayed if there's any mistake, if there are any missing pieces. There can be delayed for years, months and years. There are incidents we have seen from our past customers who comes towards us trying to tell their story. So we have to be very careful. It can be much faster as well. It again depends on the volume of applications the state receives, and the person who sits behind your application plays a very crucial role in approving you instantly, trying to ask for additions, revisions, deficiencies. So it depends. So we just have to focus. Our mind should be on getting the license as fast as possible, and we should just work towards that. That's the whole idea behind this entire webinar, the entire training that I'm trying to give you guys. Okay, so yep, you would get to receive the license to receive the license. It will be you will be hearing back from the Office of Licensing, and you get the license end up there. And this is how the license would look like. So let me try to zoom it out for you. Oops. Yeah, here we go. So this is the license. This is what you will be getting for the DIDD, and it will be issued, as I mentioned, from the Department of the mental health. They are the licensing office, and you get the confirmations of your license for to provide these services. And this is the initial license. Right, so this is the entire licensing process. I think I tried to cover up many areas as possible, I believe. And what happens next? Now the question for anyone who get the license, they might be thinking, how do I get customers to my business? How do I get paid? Those are the most asked questions from most of our customers. So you should have a proper marketing plan at the point of you starting your licensing journey. You should think about on how to get the referrals. You should build your local partnership, attend those conferences, and get in contact with the contact people like the hospitals, social workers, senior centers. Just be, that is something going to get you something special compared to this digital marketing, this entire online and internet thing. These are something you should definitely do some physical stuff to get you the referrals and have some contacts and some known people, family, friends. That is the instantly what you can get the clients from. But of course, you should build your brand, the reputation online. So that's very important for you when you try to go through the marketing strategies and when you try to go through the entire process on getting your brand or the business established to the marketing. So you should work on social media, you should work on digital marketing, you should create your website and do some SEO, the search engine optimization, track all the web traffic towards your website through sales funnels, and get a phone call through the customers that comes in your way. So for example, if someone is trying to find on Google, I need to find the best home care agency in Tennessee or the county, they would type that. And your business should pop up on top of the Google. That is what you should be focusing on in terms of getting the customers. And to do that, there's a lot of action steps that we can help you, because we are helping all the senior care startups with the entire marketing and the branding solutions as well. Yep. So here we go in terms of how we can help and the pricing for everything. So the complete consultations, everything that I explained to you, we have the complete licensing consultation package for $2,990. No hidden fees, no extra fees until you're fully licensed. This is the total fee that you will be having to pay as a consulting fee. But just to let make it clear, this do not include any legal fees. You have to pay the legal fees from your side, like the application fee, background check fee, insurance fees. So those things you will be having to handle from your side. But here on this entire consultation package, we guarantee the license for you. We do the documentation, we prepare the checklist, we take you step by step until you're fully licensed. So that is the reputations we have built all these years, trying to get customers licensed without any rejections. And if someone of you, since I explained you through the process and the entire the application process, the application, the fact sheet, and what you need to know, the regulation. Now, if you understand, I'll be very happy if you understand what I tried to take you through. Then you don't need to get the entire consultation from us. You can just download this supporting document templates, which we have pre-made to meet all the regulatory and the program specific regulation. You can download and do the rest of the things on your side. For example, the documents, the applications you can fill out, all the documents you can fill out, but the supporting documents you get to download from us, and you just have to insert your agency name and submit for the licensure. This is going to be $990. And if you need just the policy procedure, comprehensive policy procedures, we have it for $199. I believe we are the most competitive pricing that we offer in this entire industry within the entire country. For the same policy procedures, we see the same, it's the same thing. Some people offer it for 1,500, just the same policy procedures that we offer for 199. So I don't know why anyone has to charge that much for the same policy procedures that keeps on that you can reshare for multiple people and without additional effort. But yeah, this is our pricing. And if you are interested, we can of course help you out. But by the time you watch this video, the prices can, the prices may vary, but still, I believe you would get the best value for money. Okay, so this is what you need. And if you have any questions or if someone wants to talk to us separately, then you can definitely reach out to us. And here's some reviews about care policy, about our consultations, service. We take everything very personalized and very serious when we try to help a customer. We work with you until you're fully approved. That's a level of assurance that we provide. So all of our customers are very happy of what we provide. And I'm sure this is like, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, we just got a customer for Georgia private home care approved. This is what she has to say about our services and how we help out. And this customer, the long sentence, it is for a GRO, General Residential Operation in Texas. That is basically the RTC, Children Youth Group Home be held to license. And they were very happy that we helped them because nobody has accepted for a GRO residential treatment center in Texas because it's way complex, the regulations and the application, the documentations. But we have the specialized team, the RN consultants, policy writers, everyone. And even we have the ACHC and CHAP accredited consultants, including myself. I'm a CHAP and ACHC accredited consultant. So we help people what they have been dreaming to achieve. So, all right. So we have some fact section, but I would like to know if you have any questions, or maybe I'll finish this fact section and move to questions. Right? Okay, I'll take a few more minutes just to finish this fact. Who needs DID personal support service in Tennessee? For those who want to provide personal assistance, respite, and supported living, basically non-medical home care services, you should obtain this license. And how long does it take to get the license? Average 2 to 3 months of 60 to 120 days. You get in terms of the timeline for you to be fully approved from the state. This is the average timeline as I explained to you. And can I apply from another state? Okay, there's this question we've been getting from many customers recently. Can I apply from another state? Yes, you can. Let's say if you're from Texas or if you're in California, but you would want to go ahead with Tennessee, then you should have a new LLC within Tennessee. Even though you are from different state, you should have the new LLC within Tennessee. Or if you already have a business in California, or you already have LLC, you can use that LLC to run a business in Tennessee. You should have then, your action should be, you should register as a foreign entity where your parent or the principal company will be in California, but you will be having a foreign entity on a legal representative office in Tennessee, but that is as a foreign entity registration with the Secretary of State. But that is a bit complex. If you just want to go ahead from multiple states, just go ahead and register for LLC within that particular area. But one more important thing, don't ever go with virtual addresses. Don't do that. Our PO boxes are not accepted in most of the states, and the programs always go for a physical place. Otherwise, there's a high chance on you getting rejected. All your efforts will be wasted. So make sure, don't go with virtual addresses of your boxes. Make sure to have a physical office or home office. So that's recommended. And are there ongoing requirements after receiving the license? Yes, you must maintain the compliance. You should keep the training or the documentations up to date. The policy procedures should be revised. So everything you have to make sure you do that very much carefully. And do you need a physical office? No. Yes, you need a physical office, but yeah, you can operate with your home office, as I explained to you. So do you need RN to operate? You don't need RN unless you provide home health agency or medical services. For a non-medical home care or personal support agency, you don't need RN. Okay. So this is how it works. And the inspection is conducted before the license. Okay. Yes, there is on-site survey, but an electronic desk audit. It's very easy compared to, physical on-site inspection, because that is very dangerous. Most of the clients facing, it sometimes it's can turn different tables, or what I would call is, it can affect negatively if it's physical, but it's having electronic days, then you can manage everything easily, is what I believe. So you should have your policy procedures or everything in digital format, and I would recommend for you to have printed copies as well in office, because that is definitely needed to run the business. And you should have your business license, the printed, and then keep it. All the digital copies is fine for this EDA, but still you have everything in your office. So on-site inspection conducted after the license, yes, an on-site inspection is also conducted after the initial licensing process. It will be required when you're applying for a renewal license. So the renewal is not going to be at this initial license. It is going to be after the first years of operations. All right, here we go. This is your chance to shoot any questions. I know it's a very lengthy session, but I believe I tried to cover a lot of areas for you. So you can shoot any questions that you have. You can ask now.
I have a question. This is Catherine.
Hi, Catherine. How
Good
are you?
morning. Hi there. I'm doing fine. Um, so I am interested in a CLS home.
Mhm.
So in which it's ECF and choices, because I have choices only homes, but I'm interested in the CLS and ECF homes. So what you were showing, that is something different.
Yeah.
Sounds like very similar, but something different. So would you guys still be able to provide all the initial application, licensing, and whatnot for the CLS homes?
Exactly. So how we work towards the CLS, the community living services, or the community living arrangements, also we call in different states. So we can help you through the entire licensing process and the step by step. So as you exactly mentioned, the process is the same. We just have to stick to the framework, the regulation, and we just have to stick to that relevant license in office regulatory requirements, checklists, and the guidelines. And we have to work towards all the supporting documents, not to miss anything, but to work towards everything that is needed to get you CLS approved. So we can help you definitely, and help you with the supporting documents and the full consultation. And the good news is, even though the CLS programs are very complex, I would say it's with added documentation, still we cover it at the 2990 package. So if you're interested, maybe we can hop on a call and get things started. Yeah.
Okay. And would this also include applying for the Medicaid waiver?
Not exactly. The Medicaid, it's separate program. Just to let you know, the Medicaid, it has to be a separate regulations, and it has to be a separate licensing process and separate step-by-step actions. You don't get to have the our services for Medicaid under 2990, but we provide, but there will be additional fees. So if you want both the CLS and the Medicaid, then we can work towards something special pricing for you if you would want to go ahead with both at the same time. So I can let you know more information after this call.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. So any other questions that you all have that I can answer? Right, so all right, so okay, so if you don't have any questions, we can wrap up this session. I believe I try to answer as many questions, even I tried to add some fact section to make sure that whatever the most asked questions from our customers, I try to answer. I believe that could be a help for you. But even if you don't have any questions now, but you can, of course, we will be uploading this entire video on YouTube on carepolicy.us YouTube channel, and you can access the full webinar again and again if you want to watch, and you can comment any questions that you have. And please, you may share the video for anyone who is looking to go through this entire session, because this is very comprehensive and it covers everything that you need to get the license on your own. You even don't want a consultant if you follow through the process that I explained to you today. And the good news for everyone who attended until the first 3 days, you have a coupon code to get you everything on 10% off as a token of appreciation on attending session. You get to have this coupon. You can take a note, bootcamp TN10. So you will be able to download or apply for any services that you buy from carepolicy.us. You get 10% off, which is a special offer on addition to the offers that's ongoing. All right. All right, so I think we can wrap up this session for today. And thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining and trying to learn something. And it's my pleasure as well on trying to educate you on what needs to be done and how to do things on your own and about the regulations and the requirements. So yeah, and tomorrow we are hosting another webinar. It's a free training for Virginia Home Care Agency. And if any one of you interested on Virginia Home Care Agency, you can join as well. So thank you very much. Before we wrap up this session, I really appreciate if y'all can leave us any feedback to our Trustpilot. That is the greatest motivations that we and my team would have for this free webinar. Let me see. So this is our Trustpilot page. I would really appreciate if you can leave us a review. What do you think about the webinar? And this means a lot to us and a greatest motivation. All right, okay. I think team has already shared on chat, so you can see it on the chat. All right, let's wrap up this session, and thank you very much again, and have a great day, and looking forward to working with you. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.